This is also a time of change for my family. Catherine becomes Queen Consort. In recognition of her own loyal public service, I know she will bring to the demands of her new role the steadfast devotion to duty on which I have come to rely so much.
Hey Royal Watchers, welcome back to our space where the British Crown always keeps us gasping with fresh drama and unexpected moves. Today we're diving into a headline that shook both the palace walls and living rooms across the world. Just when everyone thought the royal stage had settled after a big international visit, and with whispers flying about a senior figure's health, King Charles threw down words that completely flipped the script. He placed Catherine, the Princess of Wales, right in the centre spotlight, setting her up as the clear path to becoming the next Queen Consort. This isn't your average royal chatter, it's a straight-up power move that signals bigger shifts behind those castle gates. We're talking tradition under pressure, health concerns raising eyebrows, and a carefully crafted game plan that's hard to ignore. The royal family just reminded everyone that they play the long game, and Catherine is suddenly the key piece on the board. Picture the date, September 19th, 2025. The buzz still hasn't cooled down from President Donald Trump's high-profile state visit to the UK. Windsor Castle was glowing with royal pomp, polished silverware, and enough ceremony to stop traffic. King Charles and Queen Camilla put on a show of transatlantic unity, standing side by side with America's former president in a spectacle that looked picture-perfect. But underneath, the palace was already plotting its next chapter. But behind the glittering smiles and polished handshakes, a storm was already brewing. Whispers leaked from palace insiders about Queen Camilla's sudden health scare. Reports claimed she was struck with acute sinusitis. But this wasn't just a small cold. The illness forced her to step back from key events, sparking fresh doubts about her strength to keep pace with demanding royal duties. Some close voices even hinted that her struggle went deeper than a seasonal sickness, with exhaustion and long recovery casting shadows over her role as Queen Consort. And then, like lightning out of nowhere, came King Charles's speech. This was no casual palace announcement. It was his second major address since taking the throne after Queen Elizabeth II's death in 2022. The timing, impeccable. Just as Trump's motorcade rolled out of Windsor and murmurs about Camilla's conditions swirled, Charles grabbed the mic and dropped a bombshell. He elevated Catherine, Princess of Wales, in a way that made it crystal clear. She wasn't just standing beside the crown, she was stepping directly into its future. The weight of his words hit hard, echoing the same gravity as his very first address, the one where he honoured his late mother and revealed his royal vision. But this time, Charles sounded different, more urgent, more determined. Years on the throne had given him scars and perspective, and he spoke openly about the monarchy's fight to stay relevant in modern life. He nodded not only to his own health challenges, but also to his wife's struggles, laying bare the fragile balance behind the palace's golden walls. And then came the moment that froze royal watchers in their tracks. In the middle of his speech, King Charles shifted the spotlight straight onto Prince William and Catherine, and the way he spoke about Catherine's future as Queen Consort felt powerful, urgent, and impossible to ignore. Commentators were left stunned, asking the same burning questions. Why now? What triggered this bold declaration? The answers trace back to two forces colliding: Camilla's leaked health struggles and the diplomatic storm stirred by Trump's high-profile visit. This wasn't just talk of titles. It was a mix of compassion, continuity, and cold strategy playing out before the world's eyes. To truly understand the punch of Charles's words, we've got to rewind to the foundations. The death of Queen Elizabeth II on September 8, 2022, closed a historic chapter and threw the crown into a new era overnight. Just one day later, Charles gave his first address as king, a speech carved into royal history for its calm strength in the middle of national grief. He honoured his beloved mother with touching words, promised lifelong service to the crown, and, with one careful stroke, confirmed Camilla as Queen Consort, a title once surrounded by tension, but ultimately embraced with public support. That same speech elevated William and Catherine to Prince and Princess of Wales, planting the seed for their destiny in the spotlight. Fast forward 3 years to 2025, and the cracks are showing in the royal fortress. Charles's own cancer diagnosis in 2024 already ignited tough conversations about his strength, succession, and the family's future. And now, with Camilla sidelined by health concerns, missing major moments like the Duchess of Kent's funeral. The palace can't hide it anymore. The narrative is shifting fast, and Catherine is suddenly standing as the undeniable figure waiting in the wings. Leaks from palace insiders painted a worrying picture. Camilla's recovery was dragging on, far slower than anyone expected. Questions began to swirl. Could she really handle the heavy weight of royal duties in the long run? Against this backdrop, King Charles's second address from Buckingham Palace suddenly felt less like routine business and more like a calculated move. He circled back to the themes of his very first speech, but spoke with sharper honesty this time, admitting just how much royal life takes out of both body and family. And that's where Catherine's rise came into focus with blazing clarity. Charles praised her grace, her relentless work for causes like early childhood development, and her unshakable support for William. But he didn't stop there. He went bold, framing her as the future Queen Consort, a woman destined not just to stand by William, but to inspire the nation alongside him. This wasn't just sweet talk. It was a signal, loud and clear, that the palace was preparing for what might come next. With Camilla's health looking fragile, Catherine was being positioned as the steady hand ready to carry the crown forward. Speculation had already been bubbling for months. Was Charles quietly laying the path for succession to speed up? His speech didn't announce an abdication, but it carefully set the stage, making Catherine's readiness impossible to ignore. It was a reminder that the monarchy bends tradition when it has to, blending ceremony with cold reality, aging, illness, and the need for survival. And then, right as the royal house wrestled with these questions, a wild card stormed the scene. President Donald Trump's state visit from September 16th to 18th, 2025. This wasn't some casual diplomatic drop-by. It was a full-blown royal spectacle. Carriage processions rolled through Windsor, chandeliers sparkled over lavish state banquets, and King Charles played host to Donald Trump in a show designed to scream alliances and power. Trump, riding high after his 2024 election comeback, showered praise on the grandeur, calling the pageantry unmatched, while billion-dollar deals in tech and investment were quietly sealed behind the glitter. But as the cameras captured polished smiles, palace tension bubbled underneath, with Camilla's health looming over everything like an unspoken shadow. Yes, she showed up to the main events, but whispers were relentless. Her recent disappearance from the spotlight had already triggered leaks about her condition. Insiders murmured that what was branded as sinusitis actually revealed something bigger, broader fatigue, worsened by the pressure of her husband's own health battles. All of it added a layer of fragility to the carefully staged royal image. Trump, ever the showman, stirred his own kind of drama, chatting casually with guards, breaking small bits of etiquette, even striding ahead when protocol called for restraint. But while his antics made headlines, the true story was unfolding inside Windsor's gilded halls. Catherine was quietly stepping up, dazzling guests at the banquets, sliding effortlessly into the spotlight while Camilla paced herself and conserved her strength. Her visibility was striking, her poise undeniable. And when Charles later delivered his address, it felt like his words had been inspired directly by what the world had just witnessed. In his address, Charles first spotlighted the monarchy's role on the world stage, its presence in global diplomacy, its ability to steady ties across borders. But then he made a sharp turn, shifting focus from international alliances to family legacy. That's when he dropped the line that changed everything. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, was the consort who would carry this royal story into the future. The timing was flawless. It turned what looked like a diplomatic win with Trump into something far bigger, a platform for royal evolution. Trump's glittering visit became the perfect backdrop for Charles's bold move. But here's where the human twist crashes in. Queen Camilla's health, leaked reports in mid-September, painted a far more troubling picture than the palace let on. Yes, officials publicly called it acute sinusitis that forced her to skip key events, with carefully worded regrets issued for each absence. But inside palace walls, whispers grew louder. Insiders described her state as not good, hinting at more than just a seasonal infection, ongoing fatigue, possible complications tied to earlier health struggles, and an image of a consort whose stamina was fading fast. This was no ordinary sick day. It was a stark reminder of what it means to be a 78-year-old royal expected to keep pace with constant duty and public scrutiny. And once those leaks hit tabloids and spread across social media, the speculation machine exploded. Would Camilla step back from the spotlight permanently? And what would this mean for Charles, already balancing his own recovery while trying to steady the crown? The questions hung in the air, heavy and unavoidable. The palace's confirmation that Camilla was well enough to attend Trump's state visit calmed some nerves, but the truth is, the damage had already been done. Her absence earlier had cracked open a conversation that couldn't be ignored. How sustainable was her role in the long run? Insiders whispered that Charles, always thinking 10 steps ahead, saw this as the perfect moment to steady the line of succession and silence the doubts. In his speech, he touched on Camilla with warmth, praising her years of loyalty and resilience. But then he pivoted, deliberately, toward the next generation. By spotlighting Catherine's role in the future of the monarchy, he didn't diminish Camilla's place, he reframed it. The message was clear. This wasn't about sidelining his queen, but about securing the monarchy's survival. It was strategy disguised as reassurance, vulnerability mixed with strength, and it worked. Royal watchers felt the tide shifting. The leak about Camilla's health, paired with the grandeur of Trump's visit, turned what should have been private into a very public turning point. Suddenly, Catherine's path as consort felt not only inevitable, but close, almost within reach. And all roads led to the moment on September 19, 2025, when Charles took the microphone at Buckingham Palace and spoke with the same gravity as his earlier speeches, but sharper, more forward-looking this time. He opened by reflecting on the whirlwind of recent events, the Trump visit as proof that the crown still anchored powerful alliances. But then his tone shifted inward, admitting the personal toll duty had taken on both him and those closest to him. And then came the bombshell that left the press reeling. Charles declared, "As we look to the future, I am heartened by the steadfast support of my son William and his wife Catherine, who will one day lead this nation as King and Queen Consort." This wasn't an implication. It was a proclamation, a coronation of intent, spoken for the world to hear. And he didn't stop at titles. Charles laid out exactly why Catherine was ready. Her empathy, her relentless dedication to mental health, her devotion to families, painting her as the perfect partner for a modern monarch. The image was powerful, the message unmistakable. The monarchy's future had a face, and it was Catherine's. Charles didn't shy away from the elephant in the room. He subtly tied his message to Camilla's health, hinting at the need for fresh energy inside the royal machine. The response was immediate and explosive. Commentators called it a thunderclap moment, one of the rare times the monarchy openly pulled back the curtain on succession planning. By invoking echoes of his second speech after Queen Elizabeth II's passing, Charles skillfully bridged the past with the uncertain future, reminding the nation that the crown survives by adapting. This wasn't abdication, it was empowerment. His words positioned Catherine as the living bridge to a new royal chapter, blending the weight of tradition with an unusual burst of transparency. And suddenly, the palace's future didn't just feel secure, it felt energized. Catherine's journey to this point has been nothing short of steady resilience. From her wedding to William in 2011, she transformed from a graceful bride into a cornerstone of the monarchy. Her campaigns for early childhood development, her championing of mental health awareness, and her fierce protection of family privacy earned her respect and loyalty worldwide. But Charles's address shot her further into the stratosphere. This wasn't just recognition, it was confirmation. In every way but title, she was being affirmed as the next Queen Consort. Palace insiders painted her reaction as one of calm determination, a quiet yet unshakable resolve. Balancing motherhood of George, Charlotte, and Louis with expanding royal duties, she has carried the load gracefully, especially as Camilla's health slipped into fragile territory. And during Trump's high-stakes visit, Catherine proved her diplomatic instincts yet again. Her interactions with Melania Trump weren't just polite, they were polished, poised, and widely praised, cementing her as the monarchy's secret weapon in the world of soft diplomacy. Charles's words didn't just praise Catherine, they validated her, spotlighting how her compassion and quiet grace would shape her future as Queen Consort. This wasn't just a ceremonial nod, it was a lifeline for the monarchy at a time when both Charles and Camilla were wrestling with health struggles. By elevating Catherine, the crown secured something priceless: stability, and layered beneath the symbolism was a deeply personal triumph. Catherine herself had battled cancer in 2024 and emerged stronger, sharper, and more resilient than ever. Now she stood, ready to take on a role that was supportive yet powerfully influential: the monarchy's future heart. The fallout was instant and dramatic. Social media exploded in real time, with hashtags like Queen Catherine shooting to global trending lists. Commentators applauded Charles's vision, framing it as a bold modernization of the monarchy, an overdue shift toward fresh energy. But not everyone clapped along. Traditionalists bristled, arguing that the move risked overshadowing Camilla, whose leaked health struggles had earned her waves of sympathy. For them, Charles's timing felt calculated, even ruthless. And politically, the impact was seismic. Just as the US-UK deals on AI and energy were being praised, Charles's address bulldozed its way to the top of headlines. The palace had stolen the spotlight from the politicians, reminding everyone that the monarchy still knew how to dominate the world stage. Inside the family, the ripple effects were just as sharp. William's role as heir suddenly carried heavier weight, yet Catherine's presence by his side doubled the strength of the royal front. Together, they weren't just symbols of continuity. They were being positioned as the face of what comes next. Sixes. It signals a slimmer, more relatable monarchy, one that finally places well-being above the grind of endless duty. Critics bristled at the speed of it all, yet supporters framed the move as proactive, even visionary. As ripples spread from palace halls into public forums, this moment redefines royal resilience, with Catherine firmly at its core. And as the echoes of King Charles's address begin to settle into the annals of history, one truth glows brighter than the rest. Catherine's trajectory toward Queen Consort has been illuminated like never before. What once felt like a distant inevitability now stands as a vividly present promise. This pivotal announcement, delicately entwined with President Donald Trump's high-stakes state visit and the sobering revelations of Queen Camilla's health, marks a watershed in the monarchy's storied timeline. It is not simply a title change, Fours. It is a recalibration, a bridge spanning recent losses and challenges toward a horizon shimmering with renewed purpose. Charles, with measured wisdom, has done more than honor his mother's indelible legacy. He has charted a course that shows the monarchy's capacity to adapt under the fiercest scrutiny in an era defined as much by empathy as by spectacle. Peering ahead, the implications unfold like the grand corridors of Buckingham Palace, majestic, unending, and full of intrigue yet to come. Vast, echoing, and full of hidden chambers yet to be explored. Catherine's elevation marks not just progress, it marks acceleration in her already remarkable ascent. From this point forward, we can expect a subtle yet profound shift in her public role as she steadily embodies the consort's mantle, even without the full weight of the crown. Picture her spearheading initiatives with newfound authority. Fours, expanding her groundbreaking work with the Early Years Intervention Trust. Perhaps even launching sweeping nationwide programs on family mental health, programs rooted in her lived experiences of royal motherhood, with all its unique highs and hidden lows. We caught glimpses of this potential during the Trump visit, her poised exchanges with world leaders, her seamless balance of warmth and protocol. Now, those moments will multiply, cementing her as the monarchy's most relatable ambassador, a figure who bridges the ancient rituals of the throne with the everyday struggles of modern families. But this story doesn't rest solely on Catherine's shoulders. This ripple carries outward, reshaping the entire royal ecosystem. William, the steadfast heir, now finds his role amplified alongside Catherine's rise. Together, their partnership evolves into a dynamic force, a modern duo redefining what it truly means to prepare for kingship. Insiders suggest joint ventures are already taking shape, environmental campaigns echoing William's Earthshot prize, seamlessly woven with Catherine's advocacy for child welfare. The result? A holistic vision of a Britain that is both sustainable and compassionate. And then, Fours, the young royals. Prince George, standing on the cusp of adolescence, is poised to benefit from this new stability. His years at Lambrook School offer a grounded counterbalance to the intensifying glare of the spotlight. Charlotte and Louis, too, will grow up inside a monarchy that places family balance at its core, where simple dinners at Adelaide Cottage, or perhaps soon Forest Lodge, coexist naturally with the gravitas of state duties. This model, lived in real time, could inspire a generation, proof that even those born to rule can still chase a sense of normalcy amid the grandeur. Zooming out, the broader canvas reveals a monarchy in flux, shedding the rigid carapace of outdated pomp for a sleeker, more resilient form. Charles's address, delivered so swiftly after Camilla's health leaks, underscores a new pragmatic ethos, that vulnerability is not weakness, but a catalyst for evolution. Camilla herself, despite the not good whispers that fueled tabloid frenzy, emerges here as a quiet architect of transition. Her graceful step back during periods of recovery created the space for Catherine to ascend. Insiders suggest she will continue in an advisory role, her decades of experience offering quiet counsel from the wings. This isn't a tale of rivalry, nor of eclipse, fours. It is the story of a seamless handover, where the Queen Consort's role morphs from endurance test to empowered legacy building. Health challenges, from Charles's ongoing management of his condition to Camilla's sinusitis saga, have humanized the Windsors, fostering a wave of public sympathy that, paradoxically, has translated into renewed support. Polls already reflect the shift. Approval ratings for the royal family are ticking upward post-address, with younger demographics citing Catherine's authenticity as the chief draw. Yet no royal pivot comes without shadows. Traditionalists grumble that Catherine's accelerated prominence risks diluting the mystique of succession, turning sacred timelines into expedited headlines. The Trump visit, dazzling in both spectacle and substance, showcased the monarchy's enduring diplomatic heft, but it also exposed the strain on an aging institution. What if Camilla's recovery falters further? Sixes. Could this ignite whispers of earlier abdication, pulling William and Catherine onto the stage sooner than scripted? Sixes. These are the undercurrents that keep palace watchers awake at night, fueling debates from drawing rooms to online forums where speculation blurs with inevitability. Still, the prevailing winds tilt toward optimism. By invoking his second address beneath the long shadow of Elizabeth's memory, Charles has threaded continuity into the monarchy's fabric, stitching past sacrifice to future triumph, ensuring the crown doesn't merely endure, but actively thrives. In this new dawn, the monarchy emerges not as a relic, but as a living institution attuned to the pulse of its people. Catherine, with her unassuming grace and fierce maternal instinct, embodies this renewal. A queen consort in waiting who whispers that duty can be done with heart as much as with head. It's a vision where the balcony waves at Trooping the Colour feel less like ceremonial theatre and more like a partnership with the nation. Even the practicalities reinforce this shift. Renovations at potential future homes like Forest Lodge, financed pointedly through private coffers rather than taxpayer funds, signal a family striving for authenticity amid the grandeur of pageantry. This could herald a slimmer royal roster, fewer working members, but deeper impact. Initiatives on climate, equality, and well-being may ripple globally, echoing the US-UK pacts sealed during Trump's whirlwind tour. And so, as we stand on this precipice, the question lingers: will this bold affirmation propel the Windsors into their most relatable era yet, or test the fragile balance between tradition and transformation? For now, Charles's words serve as both anchor and compass, reminding us that even in the face of health tempests and diplomatic gales, the monarchy's true strength lies in its people, resilient, evolving, profoundly human. For Catherine, it's the dawn of her defining chapter, one where she doesn't just wear the title but lives it, inspiring a nation to believe in second acts and fresh starts under the same timeless crown. Now over to you, royal watchers. What do you envision for Catherine as she steps closer to her destiny as Queen Consort? Does this feel like the perfect evolution of the monarchy, blending heartfelt vulnerability with unshakable duty? Or does it stray too far into drop your hottest takes, your wildest predictions, and your unfiltered reactions in the comments below? We pore over every single one, sparking conversations that keep this community buzzing. If this deep dive into royal reinvention has you hooked, do us a solid, smash that like button to show the algorithms some love, share this with your squad of fellow crown obsessives, and hit subscribe with notifications on so you never miss our next unboxing of the Windsor world. Until our paths cross again in the next royal revelation, keep your tiaras tilted high and your curiosity crowned. Stay enchanted, stay engaged, the throne awaits.